The MPTC supports academies, trainings, and various specialized courses to ensure officers around the state gain the necessary knowledge and skills to use in the field and, more importantly, to better serve their communities throughout the Commonwealth. Facilities such as this in Lynnfield are equipped to support recruit officer training, specialized training, pre-academy testing, use of force training, and even water safety training. In-person training courses are also offered in pertinent topics including civil rights, school resource officer certification, de-escalation, use of force, overcoming size difference for women officers, ground defense training, and some of our more important training includes police leadership training conducted by the FBI Leader Organization, the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and other relevant police leaders from throughout the Commonwealth and the country. The 55,000 square foot training facility in Lynnfield provides ample space to accommodate 2 concurrent recruit academies, allowing us to train over 100 basic recruit officers at a time. Multiple other classrooms, a mock courtroom to support the understanding of the court process, conference rooms, cafeterias, Milo range simulation rooms, and dedicated locker rooms for the recruits. An indoor pool allows us to provide water safety training and also to support the Massachusetts State Police dive team in their training and response. It is a field house to support fitness and training equipment and has been equipped with the technology to support the needs of remote learning and electronic classes. Additionally, as part of the 2020 police reform law, the legislature charged the MPTC with providing part-time officers an opportunity to earn full-time certification required by law and administered by the Post Commission. Recognizing the merits of police officers' previous training and professional experience, we developed the Bridge Academy, a 200-hour training program which enables officers who did not previously attend an 800-hour full-time police academy to earn this certification to allow them to return to their communities and to continue to serve. In designing the program, we focused on fulfilling the reform's mandate of empowering Massachusetts' dedicated part-time officers to achieve the certification to continue in their public safety mission. To date, more than 750 officers have completed all required coursework in the Bridge Academy, and 436 additional officers are currently enrolled. The impact of these academies in adopting a universal standard of training for the Commonwealth's 24,000 officers will serve to strengthen public safety and security for all of our communities. I would like to take the time to thank the Baker-Polito Administration for their commitment and support, investing in training and facilities such as the one we currently stand in. We continue to fulfill our mission with the administration's support and dedication to provide standardized training in accessible locations throughout the Commonwealth. The Municipal Police Training Committee continues to grow not only in footprint, but in capacity to deliver essential trainings and relevant services to offices and agencies around the state. As many of you know, today we operate academies in Boylston, Plymouth, Randolph, Southbridge, Lynnfield, Haverhill, and East Falmouth. A state-of-the-art facility like the one we're currently in is set to open in Holyoke later this month. We also authorize full-time academies with Boston Police Academy, Cambridge Police Academy run at Northeastern University, the Fitchburg State University Police Program, the Lowell Police Academy, the MBTA Police Academy, the Merrimack College Master's Degree Police Academy Program, Springfield Police Academy, Worcester Police Academy, and an innovative program to serve officers that would like to go to the academy but aren't able to do so because of work commitments, the Quinsigamond Community College Police Academy that runs nights at they go half as long, the hours are half as long, and the days are twice as long, so they go for about 11 months. We also have an innovative program partnering with the Massachusetts National Guard, which allows returning military police officers to participate in a civilian police academy to return home to serve their communities. In closing, I would like to thank our MPTC staff throughout the state who work tirelessly to support the growth of this agency while remaining committed to the agency's mission. As the executive director of this agency, I am fully committed to our mission and will continue to assure that the staff at the MPTC are diverse, experienced, and well-qualified professionals that understand the importance of the work we do and the impact it has on our academies and our communities. As our team continues to grow, our dedicated team of professionals will work diligently to provide high-quality training that will help our officers return to their communities to serve them in a safe and secure manner. Thank you all very much for your time. I would now like to introduce our first speaker, Chief Nick Secator of the Lynnfield Police Department.
Hello, thank you for allowing me to speak today. Anytime you have to follow Mr. Ferullo in remarks is challenging. Today, the demand on law enforcement officers is high, and it's constantly changing. It's not only the complex daily calls we receive for service, but also officers are called upon to be the first to speak to those in crisis, those struggling with substance abuse, and people with behavioral health conditions. With this brings the need for increased training. Until recently, the police academy in this area worked out of a room, shared spaces. The building did not have modern technology or the ability to hold multiple classes at the same time. This academy addresses all of those deficiencies and more. Having access to a facility that can facilitate recruit officer training and professional development training is important to local departments, large and small. It allows our agencies to meet the training and legislative requirements as well as the social expectations of policing today. Massachusetts police reform was passed under the Justice, Equity, and Accountability in Law Enforcement Act. This set forth many training requirements for police agencies which take effort to implement. Throughout the past few years, Executive Director Ferullo with the MPTC and this administration have worked diligently to implement these expectations set by the legislature in 2020. Facilities like this provide officers the tools and training necessary to be successful in modern policing. Law enforcement agencies around Massachusetts are fortunate to have the unilateral support we've received that has made this a reality. A few years ago, our agencies were told by the executive director that he had the support of the administration to bring new modern training facilities to the Commonwealth and to locations across the Commonwealth. I don't think anyone envisioned this at that time. This facility exceeds expectations and is a real example of bringing the right people together to work together in cooperation and make change. I am thankful to the executive director for allowing me to speak today, the MPTC, and the administration, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Our next speaker, we brought 4 recent graduates from academies that had graduated from the Reading Police Academy. And one of them I have the opportunity to invite to speak today, Officer Emily Della Russo of the Stoneham Police Department, who excelled in the 32nd Reading Police Academy. Emily?
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon. My name is Officer Della Russo, and I'm currently employed as a police officer by the town of Stoneham. I entered the MPTC Reading Academy in September of 2020 in the midst of COVID and police reform. Because of this, I was asked many times, why? Before entering the academy, I spent 3 years of my career in child protection services. I worked alongside numerous officers and detectives who took steps further than I could in my role to capture and persecute abusers and protect their victims. It was then that I made the decision to enter into a career of law enforcement. I enjoyed working with people trying to better their lives as they managed living with mental health and substance abuse diagnoses. And being a police officer has given me more opportunity to engage with and understand my community. The Reading Academy I went to was a different world than this Lynnfield campus, and this state-of-the-art site matches the quality of instructors, training, and education I obtained while at Reading. I had the pleasure of learning from instructors who had dedicated their lives to police work and were always willing to spend extra time sharing their experiences and advice. They focused on calm and patient approaches to calls and ensured that we knew our biggest tool was our ability to communicate. Throughout my time at the MPTC Reading Academy, I developed skills, knowledge, and understanding of the work, challenges, and environment I was about to enter. The knowledge I have gained at the Academy and continue to gain while attending training courses here at the Lynnfield site will continue to keep me and the community I serve safe. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Officer Del Russo. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the Secretary of the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, Secretary Terrence Reidy.
Thanks, Bob. It's exciting to be here today and to tour MPTC's newest training facility in Lynnfield. This state-of-the-art building is a testament to the remarkable progress the administration has made toward the standardization of police training across the Commonwealth and the ongoing implementation of police reform. On behalf of the Executive Office of Public Safety, I wish to thank Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito for their steadfast commitment to public safety. The reason we're here today is because of the Governor and the Lieutenant Governor. We're grateful for their unwavering support, providing our agency and the law enforcement community with the investments needed to achieve our mandates under the new police reform law and ensure our ability to provide every police officer across the Commonwealth with the highest levels of standardized training. Policing is one of the most difficult jobs imaginable. Every day presents new scenarios and poses complex demands for the men and women who chose the noble career path to protect and serve. Just this week, the remarkable stories of bravery and heroic actions honored during the annual Hannah Awards are a profound reminder of the dangers our officers face each and every shift. And from a minor dispute in the neighborhood to community problem solving to a life or death encounter with a violent and armed individual, training. It's about training is the foundation of an officer's ability to successfully perform their challenging work while protecting their safety and the safety of those they encounter. The establishment of the MPTC's Lynnfield campus marks yet another important milestone in our continued efforts to deliver high-quality, modern, and accessible training for the nearly 2,400 police officers that provide protection and safety to our citizens and visitors. It should be noted that the quality of training space is critical to maximizing an officer's learning capacity. MPTC's Lynnfield Training Center will offer state-of-the-art training content, including modernized practices in de-escalation, use of force, and leadership in a state-of-the-art building. We are grateful for the opportunity to welcome local officers to this conveniently located, stunning space. I'd like to thank Lynnfield Town Administrator Robert Dolan and Lynnfield Police Chief Secretary for joining us today and to mark this achievement. I'd like to express my gratitude to the MPTC's Executive Director, Bob Ferullo. Bob is an unsung hero of policing in Massachusetts. He's been the person on the front lines with his team working day in and day out. He also set the record for the track downstairs that you all saw. You can ask him after the conference what that time was. I didn't say if it was a good time. I didn't say it was a bad time. Just the record. It's just the record, exactly. In close coordination with EOPS and the team at MPTC, we've been working diligently to advance the mandates established by police reform and develop training curriculum that meets the law's primary objectives and standardized police practices. There's another person I'd also like to recognize, the president of the MPTC, Jim Hicks, who's also the chief of NADIC. He has been on that board for a significant amount of time, and he has been an intelligent, thoughtful, energized voice for all of Massachusetts policing. And so I want to thank Jim for being here today. The other person I'd like to also thank sits right to Jim's left, Jim's right, Jim O'Brien, who we stole from the Attorney General's office about a year or so ago, who is also a member of the MPTC, whose knowledge is beyond compare in Massachusetts, and he's another reason why we're here today and why we set standards in training. And then a final person who's really behind the scenes because that's how he operates. It's someone who makes me feel very old because I coached him in high school, and coached him in baseball, and it's John Melander, who's a deputy attorney and a deputy counsel at the Executive Office of Public Safety. John has been the driving force for EOPS and police reform, working with Bob and his team. He doesn't get credit for it, but if there's a question to be answered, if there's some nuance that we need to know about, is John Melander. He's the go-to person in the Executive Office of Public Safety, so I wanted to publicly thank John. He's done a tremendous job for the administration and for policing in Massachusetts. I want to thank, in closing, the Lynnfield community for their warm reception, for having us here in Lynnfield, and I want to thank you all for joining us. You had the opportunity to look at this facility. We have pictures of some of the old facilities. We've always, I believe, and I know the governor and lieutenant governor believes, we've always had the best trained officers in Massachusetts. The facilities were a work in progress. But under this administration, with their backing and with the resources they've offered, we have a facility like this. We have a facility in Randolph. We're going to have one in Holyoke. And at the end of the day, training is about keeping officers safe. It's about keeping the community safe. They deserve the facilities to train in and to keep everybody safe. And we have this thanks to the governor and the lieutenant governor. And with that, I'd like to introduce the lieutenant governor, who has been a staunch advocate and proponent of law enforcement throughout her career as the lieutenant governor and before. She has been someone who has been vocal in her words, and her actions have demonstrated her commitment of keeping people safe, training officers, and giving officers in this state everything that they need to do the most important thing: return home to their families at the end of a shift. So with that, I would like to introduce Lieutenant Governor Karyn Polito.
I'll turn it back to you. Okay. Good afternoon. It is with great honor that we are here today. We've been looking forward to this visit for a long time, and it's great to see it in full use and action today, and clearly to meet the leadership team at MPTC in person for us to say thank you. It was great to hear from the officers who have come through this training and how you experienced training before this facility and now after. So a couple of things. I want to start by thanking Chief Ferullo. I've known him for a long time. I want to thank you for your leadership and for the work that you've done with the Sexual Assault and Domestic Violence Council and elevating issues like human trafficking into guidelines and into curriculum here at MPTC, so every officer across our Commonwealth will have a better understanding about how to approach those issues that are so complex in our communities. I want to thank the Secretary, your whole team, for your incredible work, both with the police reform work that we did. It was a very complex stakeholder engagement process that we feel came out representing a body of work to improve the quality of policing here in the Commonwealth. And at the same time, understanding that you just can't send a piece of legislation to the governor for signature and say, well, our job is done. It really was just the beginning. And so it had to require the chief working with EOPS and all of you to really better position the MPTC to not only improve the quality of public safety here in the Commonwealth, but to demonstrate that we were committed to investing in the people who serve in positions to execute on public safety services across our Commonwealth, the 23,000 plus mix of people who have chosen this line of work. So I think of this not only as training, but it's clearly recruitment, because that is a body of people that changes. And it's a body of people that year to year have to be updated and reminded, and the practices that they know have to be reinforced, and then new strategies and practices have to be introduced. So it's an evolving and continual training process. And so what I come away with today feeling is a great sense of pride in the work that we have done as an administration and clearly over these past few years, and also feeling that we are doing our job to respect the men and women who choose this work by demonstrating through an investment in this facility that when they come in this door, they have the state-of-the-art equipment, the best well-educated leaders to guide them through, and not only expose them to academic curriculum, but to help them have that experiential learning and practice. So when they are in the field and they're in that moment where that most unexpected moment comes in, that they have the practice and the strategies ready to go. And so it makes me feel, yes, we're doing our job around better policing and setting the way for the country to follow. We're also preparing our state better in our communities for public safety, but we're preparing our recruits and our officers with the strategies they need every single day to keep them safe and to keep them in a great place to do their work. So thank you for the honor of being with you. And I know the whole team, they wrote out a whole body of notes we were supposed to say, but I just want to amplify that it's resources that are put into training and facilities like this. It's resources into specialized recruit classes for women, a 5-day conference that the chief hosted recently just around policing for women officers. The whole body-worn cameras and having a task force and the resources for communities to buy into this program literally, because it's not only the device, it's the storage and the training and everything that comes with that. And then the continued investment through program after program that you have created to help communities pay for and reinforce the practices at the local level in departments all across our state. So as we round out our office, I feel a great sense of satisfaction that we really worked well together, and that through these facilities, your preparation will continue to take place. And so grateful for the men and women who have chosen this line of work, and for the leadership team who's here today. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. It is my honor to be able to introduce Governor Charlie Baker. We had a very emotional Hannah Awards ceremony yesterday in Worcester, honoring unbelievable feats of bravery by police officers across this state. One of the individuals who received one of the Hannah Awards was a friend of mine who had passed away, Manny Familia. And when I think of the governor and the lieutenant governor, is you can really see into someone and their care for law enforcement and how they react during the worst times and during the worst times for individual families. And I saw it personally last June, and it wasn't just in the aftermath of Manny's drowning, it was throughout. It was asking how the family's doing. How's Manny's son? How's his daughter doing? And we just left an event at UTEC in Lowell. And one of the comments that were made was that it was nice to have the leadership engaged, accessible. And that is what I think of when I think about Governor Baker and law enforcement. How does he react in the worst possible times, giving support and comfort to law enforcement? And it's also exhibited by why we're here today, the support and the resources to have a state-of-the-art facility. And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Governor Baker. So I want to thank him personally, and I want to thank him on behalf of law enforcement. We're here because of him. Governor Baker.
Thank you very much, Secretary, and to you and to Bob and to the rest of the team. I just want to say thank you for what you do, because we wouldn't be here without you either. It's one thing to provide support. It's another to develop the vision and execute. And you and your team have done a spectacular job with regard to that. This is clearly, for anybody who took a walk today, an impressive facility, and it will be a critically important asset for us here in the Commonwealth as we move forward. This is a former Boston Sports Club facility. There will be no sports activity here, however, going forward. Instead, what you have is a terrific training curriculum and academy that both will support aspiring police officer recruits and will provide, as the Lieutenant Governor said, the really important in-service law enforcement work that needs to be done to continue to update and train our sworn officers as they go forward with their careers. In addition to the work that will be done there, I think it's important to point out that there are other facilities around the Commonwealth. In Southbridge, the Holyoke one's going to come online sometime soon, in Boylston, Plymouth, Haverhill, and in East Falmouth. And the build-out of the MPTC's capacity to train and support those working in law enforcement has been a process that's been going on pretty much since we took office, because as an administration, we felt one of the most important ways you can keep people safe in the community is to make sure that your officers are trained before they become officers and continue to be trained and updated on the opportunities that exist for them as they go forward with their careers. In some ways, this facility is a big statement about how serious we are about ensuring that our law enforcement community here in the Commonwealth is well trained. We talked a little bit about the Bridge Academies. The Bridge Academies, for those who don't know, are academies that are offered primarily to those members of law enforcement who haven't been through the training that's required under the new police reform law. I don't know how many total officers we're talking about here, but you said roughly 1,300 are currently going through the process? 3,600 overall. So think about this for a minute. You have a lot of folks who are entrusted with the responsibility of serving their communities as law enforcement officers, but many of them work in small communities where they're part-time or they have a part-time role with another law enforcement organization. There wasn't an organized and structured way for them to continue to receive in-service training. And this program here, and many of the other ones that will be available around the Commonwealth, are designed specifically to make sure that every officer, all 23,000 here in the Commonwealth of Mass, receive regular, professional, expert, in-service training as they go through their careers. This is in some ways what I would refer to as the other side of the discussion around police reform. This administration began a conversation primarily with the members of the Black and Latino Legislative Caucus in 2018, but there were others that were involved in this as well, about creating a strong and permanent certification process here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We got fairly far down the road on this, and we're almost to the point where we were ready to file legislation early in 2020. Then the pandemic happened, which meant people had other things they needed to do at that point in time. And then the horrible tragedy, the murder of George Floyd, took place in Minneapolis. And the whole question around accountability and transparency rose to another level. Now, because we'd been spending over a year working with our colleagues in the legislature on an accountability platform here in Massachusetts and a certification program, it wasn't long after that tragedy that we filed legislation with our colleagues in the Black and Latino Legislative Caucus in the summer of 2020. There was a very intense debate and discussion about that legislation. It was appropriate and necessary, but it never, during the entire time it was being discussed, devolved into some of the really unfortunate behavior that was taking place in other parts of the country. And in December of 2020, the legislature passed, and we signed major police reform legislation on both ends of this equation. Create a certification program that creates a whole new set of accountabilities for those in law enforcement, and dramatically amp up and expand our commitment to both training for those who want to become sworn officers and training on an in-service basis for all those who are. And I think in some respects, this facility, the one in Holyoke, the one in East Falmouth, a lot of the work that's been done by this administration and supported financially by the legislature was designed to make sure that we here in the Commonwealth deliver on both ends of this equation. The Post Commission, which is a majority civilian board, was established to certify officers, but it also creates processes for decertification and suspension of certification in cases of certain misconduct. It's an independent body. It's engaged in investigation and adjudication of misconduct claims in an effort to preserve trust between members of law enforcement and the communities they serve. In addition, it's tasked with maintaining comprehensive, publicly accessible databases with training, certification, employment, and internal affairs records for all certified agencies. So far, the MPTC and the Office of Public Safety have collected and shared training records for more than 23,000 law enforcement officers here in the Commonwealth. It also built on legislation that we signed previously involving several key initiatives with respect to the state police. We established the first Massachusetts State Police Cadet Program, which is designed to promote diversity in hiring. That program has been funded, and it allows men and women ages 19 to 25 to apply for a paid, benefited, and full-time civilian position with the state police as a cadet. It's enormously important that the department's demography be representative of the Commonwealth and the people that we serve. And that cadet program is an opportunity for growth and success in a field like law enforcement for some who have envisioned but weren't quite sure how to get there on their own. I'm pleased to say that over half of the cadet class is expected to be candidates of color, and more than a quarter will be women. Over half the class are people of color, 25% of them are Hispanic or Latino, and another 20% are black. And as I said, about 25% of them are also women. And that first class will be finalized in the next month, and they'll begin training by the end of November. We've done many other things as well, things that I believe are in the best interest of law enforcement and the best interest of the community. Perhaps the one we've been the most aggressive with respect to our colleagues at the state police has been the implementation of body and dash cams in their cruisers. All sworn members across every state police department division, approximately 2,200 troopers, are equipped with body-worn cameras and have been trained in the policies and usage of this equipment. And all cruisers, approximately 1,000 of them, also now have cruiser-mounted cameras. That program was initially announced in 2018, along with a series of additional reforms, and I believe the use of these body-worn cameras and these cruiser cameras will dramatically improve the public safety, but also improve the safety of the men and women in uniform as well. I think it's clear to us that there is work to do. Massachusetts has always set the bar high when it comes to the training and the quality of the men and women who work in law enforcement. I believe the combination of the work that will be done by the Post Commission and the work's being done here at the MPTC and the work that's done every single day by our men and women in law enforcement will ensure that Massachusetts will continue to be a national leader with respect to the work that we do to keep our communities safe and to give our men and women in uniform the resources, the support that they need to protect and serve. Now, Secretary Reidy talked a little bit about the Hannah Awards, which were every bit what you'd expect they'd be, given the work that's done every day here in the Commonwealth and the challenges that are presented to those men and women in uniform. And we talk a lot about those moments of bravery. Many of them end up in the public domain. What we don't talk about are the daily encounters the law enforcement officers across the Commonwealth have that are intense and potentially dangerous and tragic for themselves and for many of the people they come in contact with. Every single day in Massachusetts, these circumstances arise. And every single day in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, men and women in uniform use their training, their discipline, their creativity, and their skill set to de-escalate and resolve the situation and the circumstance without anything awful happening to anyone. It never gets reported, it never gets covered, it never gets talked about. Because in some respects, it's not news. But it is the work of the men and women in uniform, and it is especially the work of the men and women in uniform who have been well trained and well supported by their communities and by the Commonwealth so that they can deliver every single day on behalf of the people they serve. I think this facility and the other ones will help us continue to up our game here, and will give everybody the skills and the capabilities and the tools that they need to continue to make Massachusetts one of the very best states in the country when it comes to the quality of the men and women who wear the uniform and protect and serve our communities. And I thank you all very much for the chance to be with you today. Thank you.